All right, to my guest, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself?
Nah, come on now. You just told me you was tired because I told you I was tired.
Well, no, okay. So we're gonna keep it all the way real. I am tired. Okay. I have had a very, very long, trying day. I work with children and there were some very interesting creatures.
Yes.
To say the least.
Yeah, I am tired too, but I also been doing like a lot of ripping and running because by the time this episode come out, I will be preparing to go out of town again. And so I'm just like, I was like, oh child, I need a little drinky drink.
Okay, girl. I said the same thing. Like I need an adult beverage. Okay.
Right? But I want to say I told you this off the air, but I want to tell you this on the air. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I definitely want to shed light on your story because I feel like I saw myself in your story, and I think there's a lot of people who may be going through similar things and may think they're the only one. So I think this is really happy to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you extending the invitation.
Yeah. Now, can you explain what Pfeiffer syndrome is?
Okay, so see, a lot of times people get so caught up in the name, like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, it sounds so bad. In reality, it kind of is bad, but it's not as bad as things.
Right.
What Pfeiffer syndrome is basically where the bones in your body do not use correctly. So when you're created, when your skeletal muscular system
Mm-hmm.
is created where the bones are supposed to fuse together in a way that creates the joint, that creates the muscles, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for me, my bones did not fuse that way. I was born with uh, a lot of holes in my skull where I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have bones in my skull, and my brain was exposed
Mm.
because I didn't have a lot of bones to cover the areas that needed to be covered.
Right.
Um, I also was born with my what little skull that I had was practically crushing my brain because I did not have any of those stems. They have like little stems that go around your skull, and it's supposed to keep the skull off the brain, and
Mm-hmm.
it lifts it up, it keeps it off the brain. I didn't have any of those stems, so when I was born, my brain, like I'm sorry, my skull was practically crushing my brain.
Mm.
I had my first surgery when I was about 2 months old. I want to say, yeah, 2 months old, and I've had
So they was
35.
able to, I'm sorry, they was able to catch this early.
Um, yes, but see, the thing about it was they didn't really know what it was because Pfeiffer syndrome was a fairly new syndrome. It's a chromosomal syndrome. It has something to do with the chromosomes and the genes and stuff. So it was fairly new. It wasn't discovered until 1975.
Oh,
I was
wow.
born, yeah, I was born in 1979. So as I said, it was a fairly new syndrome or, illness or what have you. At first, they thought it was Down syndrome. But then as time went on, they felt like, okay, so no, it's not Down syndrome, it's something else. So when they started, they didn't even know really, what it was. But as I was saying, I've had 35, 45 operations throughout the course of my life to try to correct this problem.
Mm.
Um, and it had various problems that go along with it. Like I've had to have bone graft. I've had to have skin graft. I've had to have bone taken from other parts of my body and put into my skull. I've had to have ribs taken and put into my head to form a skull because I didn't really have a skull.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've had the bridge of my nose done. That I was born, I didn't have a bridge to my nose. So all of this right here, it was cosmetically done. All of
Mm.
this down here was cosmetically done.
For those who can't see,
Um,
she's pointing to her the jawline,
I'm
right? The
sorry.
chin,
Yeah, the jawline, the bridge
the
of my
bridge of your
nose,
nose. Yeah.
Yeah, all of that was cosmetically done.
Do they know where, like, what causes this syndrome?
Well, they said that it was something in relation to it was a genetic syndrome, and they don't quite know exactly what it's called, what causes it. They think it's something to do with irregular gene mutation, is what they believe, but they're not 100% sure. 1 out of 25 people have it.
Mm-hmm.
But you would be surprised the number of people of color that have it.
Really?
There's a large number of people with color that have it. And the thing about it is that there's 3 types. There's type 1, type 2, type 3.
Right.
And they all look different. And you can have it and it be so small you won't even know what it is. You won't even realize that you got it. Like for
Mm.
some people, you have what's called a cleft lip. And that's when you have like a cleft, like you got a cut in your lip,
Right.
and it's called a cleft lip. That's a symptom of Pfeiffer syndrome. There are
Mm.
some people that have it where they have what's called web fingers and web toes. Like
Yeah.
you try to spring your fingers out of like a web. That's a sign of Pfeiffer syndrome. Now, let me just be clear. And then I'm gonna put this out here. Just because you got web fingers or web toes,
Don't
don't
mean you
mean you got
have.
Pfeiffer syndrome. I
Right.
just want to put that out there.
Don't be having niggas saying, "Oh, well, 𝐿𝐵𝐴 said I got this."
Yeah, please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because they're like, oh, my fingers is wet. Oh, I need to go to the
Right.
doctor.
Because there are a lot of people who have web fingers and web feet.
Web toes, right, right,
Yeah.
right. And they're like, ooh, it's bad.
Right,
Huh?
right,
Oh, what that did?
right.
No, that's not what that did. You just got web toes and web toes. That's all.
Right. And then what's the third one?
Oh, the third one. Okay, so it's type A. I'm sorry, it's, type 1, type 2, type 3. Type
Mm-hmm.
1 is the
The cleft lip.
cleft lip. Well, no, it's not like you can have them in all 3,
Right.
but it's like the severity of them.
Right. Got
So
you.
type 1 is not as severe. Type 2 is moderately severe. And then type 3, you could actually die.
Mm.
Prince's son, The Rock, the singer Prince.
You know what's
Prince's
so
son,
funny? He died from
Prince's
this.
son
Yeah.
had type 3, and he died from it.
At 6 months old.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was doing research on this topic, I saw his ex-wife, she wrote her memoir and she spoke about him having this rare syndrome and how
Mm-hmm.
their son died from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So wait, so
Yep.
what type do you have?
I type 3.
Really? I think that's so interesting how this syndrome was it was not founded, but it was discovered in what 1974, 1975, and then you was
Mm-hmm.
born 4 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do. But I'm a believer that God doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah,
And things happen for a reason. And we might not always understand the reason, but they happen for a reason.
right.
So, I believe that that's all a part of God's miraculous
Plan.
plan, whatever that is.
Because this don't run in your family, or do anybody else in your family have this syndrome?
Um, they have the symptoms of it.
Mm.
Excuse me, like my daughter, she has the web feet and the web fingers. My sister has the web feet, and her feet look like my feet. So she has symptoms of it too, but nobody else has it. I'm the only one that has
Mm.
it.
Would you say that there are any misconceptions about people who have Pfeiffer syndrome?
Oh, girl, yeah. Girl, look,
What's the
we
tea,
ain't got the
baby?
time to go through the misconceptions out of her. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we all around here. Can you have sex?
People ask you
Like, are you asking me, do I know how to have sex?
that?
Or can
Right.
I physically have sex? well, I'm confused by your line of questioning. Like, does it,
What
does
they
it,
want to know? Does it like?
look, girl, I thought too. Oh, well, I was like, yeah, I got one. I'm a woman, so yeah. But well, being disabled and all, do y'all still have sex?
Yeah, but that vagina ain't disabled, baby. What are you talking
And I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, I get it in. Okay, I
about?
get it in on the regular. But yeah, you'd
Okay.
be surprised, girl. You'd be surprised. And then they kind of look at you. Now, I grew up in like the late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
early 90s. And needless to say, I didn't look like everybody else. That's just what that was. It
Right.
took me a long time to come to grips with that. But at the end of the day, that's just what that was.
Right.
But because I didn't look like everybody else, that made me tougher. That made
Mm-hmm.
me have to be tougher and stronger because I had to be able to defend myself.
Right.
So, I mean, girl, look, I got picked on, I got bullied, I got
Mm.
put in the locker. I had this one little girl, and I call her a little girl because now that I think about it, she was a little girl.
Right.
I was in, I think, the ninth grade. Yeah, the ninth grade. She
Mm-hmm.
turned around and looked at me and told me that if she had a child that looked like me, she would throw it in the trash can.
What?
And I said, I was trying to figure out who she was talking to. I'm like, what's she talking to? And then it dawned on me that she was talking to me.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
like, okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so what do I do with this?
Right.
What do I do with this? How do I process it? And I'm not embarrassed to say that I allowed it to govern the first 20 years of my life. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
I allowed that comment to govern. And when I said govern the first 20 years of my life, I allowed that comment to show up in places that it shouldn't have shown up in. I allowed
Mm.
it to fester and marinate in places that it should not have been. And that was my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody didn't like me or when somebody didn't want to deal with me, that was my go-to. Oh, you just don't like me because I look different. But you just
Right.
don't like me because of... And I've learned some people just don't like because they don't like you.
That's
It
a
has
fact.
nothing to do with how you look, what you look like, what you're wearing. It has nothing to do with that. They just don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at 35, I think I made the decision just to let it go.
Yeah.
Just to let it go. Just to let it go. It was
When you,
hard,
yeah.
but
When you said that it showed up in other areas, what were those areas?
um relationships. It was really predominant in relationships. It was hard for me to facilitate um healthy relationships
Mm-hmm.
because I always felt like I was, I'm not gonna say the outcast, but I always felt like I was different from everyone else.
Right.
And the reality of it is that I am. I am. I'm different. You different.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is the same. But it's about what we do with those differences that
Mm-hmm.
make us who we are. And so for a long time, it was really hard for me to facilitate relationships. And I'm gonna take it a step further because I had a conversation about this on my TikTok one day. It was really hard for me to facilitate relationships with Black women.
Mm. You know what's before you continue, that is so funny that you said that because I had another conversation with a woman and she had a very traumatic upbringing and her mother knew about it. And she pretty much said the same thing, but because of her mother, which we'll get into the story about your mom, but she had a very difficult relationship with Black women as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think for me, I just always felt judged. I always felt like it was either they were judging me because I didn't look like everybody else, or they were feeling sorry for me. There was, you know what I'm saying? There was no middle ground. There was no, hey, you cool. I want to hang with you, whatever. It was more of a, oh, I'm so sorry.
Mm,
What a tragic, tragic thing.
mm.
Or, oh, well, I don't want to hang with her. She looks like 𝐴𝐵𝐶DEFG. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had never really found, with Black women, I never really found that middle ground. And
Even to this day?
yeah, even to this day. I mean, I'm
Wow.
not going to say that I don't have African American female friends, because I do, but they're very far few in between. They're
Mm,
very far few in between. Because I'm one of those, I've gotten better about my disability. I've gotten a whole lot better. And I'm at a place in my life now where it is what it is.
yeah.
Like me, don't like me, take me, don't take me. It is what it is. But I'm
Mm,
always going to keep it real with you. I'm always going to tell you the truth. And if I don't like something, I'm going to let you know I don't like it.
mm-hmm.
So that's always been me. But in terms of my disability or whatnot, this is what it is. I look how I look, and
You
this
know,
is
that's
what.
very unfortunate that because I couldn't imagine not having my community, which mostly is consisted of Black women. So
Mhm,
I really do pray that that changes for you, because I think that we all deserve to be around our sisters and to be, you know.
mhm, mhm. I mean, I don't, I don't stray away from it, but I know I've always been one of those people that can pick up really well. Like, and I think everybody can do this. When you're in a group situation
Mm-hmm.
and they're not feeling you, you can pick it up. You can pick it up when they're not comfortable with you. You can pick up the vibes when they're not. Oh, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of pick it up.
No,
At
you
least
can feel energy. Yeah, you can definitely
yeah,
feel
yeah,
energy.
you can feel it when they're not comfortable with you, or when they're like, well, what is she doing here? You know what I'm saying? And people used to tell me, oh, it's all in my head. No, it's not in my head.
Yeah.
I can really pick it up. I can really feel it. So I'm one of those people that I'm not gonna beg you to like me. I'm
Yeah. Have
not.
you ever had a conversation with anybody who you felt like was judging you or being mean to you? Any Black woman?
And, I mean, the thing about it is that once I had the conversation, the behavior changed. But the behavior changed to, oh, I'm so sorry.
Mm,
And it changed to pity. Now, one thing about me, I don't want anybody to pity me.
right.
I'm far from pity, okay? Far from it. I'd have been through what I'd have been through. I'd have dealt with what I'd have dealt through. And came out swinging. I don't need you to feel sorry for me.
Right. Because we here now. Like,
Okay? Okay? You better
right.
know it.
Listen, like I don't need no pity, nigga. Like
Nope.
you
Nah,
gonna
nah, you keep all that over there.
right,
Keep
you gonna
all
be
that
my
over there for
friend.
somebody else that need it, okay? Because I don't need it.
Right,
I
right.
would.
But do you think a lot of this, like I do believe that you can feel energy, but do you think that also the relationship you had with your mom could play a role in it too?
Um, interesting, because I never thought about that. Because me and my mother have a real tumultuous relationship. Tumultuous.
Yeah.
Um, I love her to death, but we have a very tumultuous relationship. Um, and that's worth thinking about, because
Mm-hmm.
I've never really like given it any thought.
Mm.
Um, but that could be, that could be, because I went into foster care when I was 12,
Mm-hmm.
12, 13, one of those. And I had spent the first half of my life with her. And Yeah, it was some trying times.
Yeah.
It was some trying times. It was some trying times.
At what age did you first become aware that she was addicted to drugs?
8, 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 8 and 9.
Mm,
And at 8 or 9,
that's young.
yeah, very young. Um, at 8 or 9, I found out she was addicted to drugs. And to this day, I don't even remember how I found out.
I was like, how did you find out?
Girl, look, don't ask me.
Don't give me the line.
Look, don't look at me like I could not tell you how I found out. Anyway, um, around that time, my sister was born.
Okay.
And I remember now, prior to my sister being born, I was going to school, doing all the things that, most kids do or what have you. And I was going to school, and I remember trying to hold it all together, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense. Because I didn't want anybody to know that my mother was on drugs. I didn't want anybody to know what my home life was like. Because
Right.
I was always told, if you go to school or you tell them what your home life is like, they'll come get you.
Call them people on you.
Yeah. Oh, you done heard it. Don't go down to that school telling them white people all your
Tell my
damn business.
business. Right.
Okay? go down that go down to that schoolhouse telling all them white people your business, they'll come get you.
They sure
But
will, baby.
but at any rate, my dad stayed with us off and on for a while. Until we got evicted the first time.
Hmm.
The first time we got evicted, I was 10. 10? Yeah, I was 10. And now talk about a funny story. So I'm coming home from school. I'm on the school bus, getting off the school bus. Me and my little girl, my little friends, we getting off the bus.
Hmm.
And we walking up the breezeway to my house. Out the my vision was a little better then. Out the corner of my eye.
Shit, mine too.
Out the corner of my eye. See my suit
You see
on the
who? I didn't
curb.
hear you.
My living room suit.
On the curve?
Yes, on the curb, girl. On the curb. The living room suit, the TV, all my toys, like my whole house was on the curb. So imagine you walking down the street coming home from school, you and your little friends, and they asking you why your shit out there on the curb. And you like, I don't know. I was in school with you. I don't know.
Right.
You're just as good as mine. I don't know. And so I'm walking and I'm like, and I see all that. And you know what? Half the stuff wasn't even put in boxes. It was just laying on the damn.
So they just threw y'all shit out. Well, I guess that's what happened when you evicted, but
Yeah,
wow.
you just get thrown out.
And where was your
So,
mom at?
girl, I don't know, probably somewhere getting high. I know my dad was out there sitting on the couch looking crazy. I'm like, so what we gonna do? Nobody had any suggestions. Nobody had any ideas. My dad was an alcoholic, by the way.
Yeah, because I was
So
about to say, as the man in the house, like, what was going on with him?
yeah, he had a drink. Well, no, let me lie. My dad was not an alcoholic. My dad was a drunk. The only meetings he would go to would be the one down at the liquor store. That man has never stepped foot in an AA meeting a day in his life. He told me, and I quote, I'm a drunk. I like to drink. That's what I do. I'm a die drinking. And that's how he died. He died with a drinking hand, believe it or not. But nevertheless, yeah, he was an alcoholic, so he really didn't have any real suggestions or the ideas
Wow.
of what to do. So I remember that night, um, me and my mom went to a shelter and he slept on the furniture to make sure that nobody stole it.
Mm.
He slept outside on the furniture to make sure nobody stole it. Um, And then the next day, we got up and we started walking. And girl, when I tell you, I felt like I was in the Million Man March. We walked, and walked, and walked, and walked. Girl, I felt like we walked past Capitol about 4 times. We walked and walked. And all I could hear my sister, girl, trying to find a place to lay our heads. Well, I said we was homeless for real.
What was she? What type of drugs your mama was on? Crack?
Yeah, girl, she was on that crack. She was on that rock. She was on that rock.
Not that rock, baby.
She was on that rock. She was going to visit Scotty. Her and Scotty was having meetings.
But there was also a point. Is this the same apartment that she had the drug dealers move in?
That happened twice. You think she would have learned the first time, but she didn't.
Right.
The first time that happened, we were living in the house that we got evicted from. She moved my father out, moved the drug dealer girlfriend into the house. So she had access to the drugs whenever she wanted them. Okay. Then, eventually, after a year or so, we get an apartment. And she moved to drug dealers, different drug dealer stuff, different. She moved a new set of drug dealers in. And it's funny because my husband makes fun of me. He was like, "Oh, so you was like Nino Brown. You that you was living in the Carter building, huh?"
Right, where Pookie at?
Highlight of my life, okay. But in all honesty, that's what it felt like. Like you would go in there, you're stepping over people. High as hell it could be.
I mean, thank God. Thank God nobody messed with you and your little sister.
Well, you know what? I think somebody did mess with my little sister because she went on to have other issues in that area. So, but yeah. My mother's side of the family was real deep into the drugs. Like they were selling it, they were using it, they were real deep into it. So they lived at the top part of the apartment complex. We lived at the lower part of the apartment complex. So one night, a cousin of mine was out there doing what he do, slinging that yayo, and the police saw him. So, of all the damn places to run, you run to my damn house. So, he runs to my house, goes in the bathroom, sticks the gun behind the toilet. And then the police follow him to my house. And all I hear is bam, 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 bam. Yeah. And then the police wanted to come in the house to search to look for him. My mother, being who my mother is, she wouldn't let him in. Because she was like, you need a search warrant to come up in here. You're not coming up with my MFN house without no goddamn search warrant.
Right.
And he was in there the whole time. And he was like, we have belief that a drug person we were watching has ran into this apartment. He's like, I don't care what you believe. You're not coming up in here searching them. Okay? So, but what she did not know, what nobody knew until they raided the house was
they found their gun.
Yeah, they had been watching the house. They had been watching her apartment for a good 3 months. They had been watching the traffic. They're watching the people that was coming and going, the type of people that was coming and going. Because the thing about it is she had known drug people, known drug dealers, known drug users coming in and out her house on the regular. So because she had this going on the regular, they started watching her house. And I think it was one day, I think it was a Saturday, they raided the house. And if you've ever been in a raid before, that is the scariest for a child. I was about 12. That is the scariest thing that a child could ever have to go through. is a
Mm.
rape. I mean, they come busting through the doors.
Hell, it's scary for a grown up. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't think age matters, sis.
Well, it's not, you're right. It probably don't. It probably don't.
Right, because
Because
I'd be scared as hell. I'd be like, "Whoa, hands up!"
my ass falling in the damn bed. Shit.
Right, I don't want no problems.
Yeah, no, I don't need none of these problems. Okay. After all, me and my sister, I pulled her up under the bed with me. Like, get up under this bed. We going up under the bed.
Right.
And I remember they went searching. They was looking for the gun, and they was looking for the drugs. Now, the gun, now these cops weren't very smart because the gun was in the same place you left it, right behind the toilet. They
Mm,
never looked behind the toilet. The gun was right there behind the toilet.
mm.
And then they tore up the house. And so about a week later, they um they evicted her from that apartment because I was suspicion of using drugs and illegal activity.
Mm.
And then we went into foster care.
And how many foster homes were you in?
Girl,
It was that
six,
many?
7,
Really?
really?
Wow, I thought that you went into like two or three, and out of those three, there was like a really bad incident where like I don't know, she wouldn't let you eat off the plates or something. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah. That was the third one, I want to say.
okay, that's where I got the two or three from.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was the third one. And yeah, she was a bitch. Excuse me, Lord. But she would not let me eat off the I had to use paper plates, paper forks, plastic cups, and all of that because she was afraid that they would catch whatever I had.
Mm.
I
And
wasn't
when
allowed to I wasn't allowed to sit in the living room. I had to sit in the back room so nobody could see me because they was ashamed of me. Excuse me. I had to, and then the one incident, um, they went to the mall and they left me and my sister in the car for a good 5, 6 hours because they didn't want to be seen in the store with us. Well,
were they
with me.
white or black?
Huh?
Were they white?
Black. They were black.
Mm.
And they could have took my sister. I understood why I was sitting there. But the fact that they left her is probably what hurt me the most.
Mm.
But yeah, that.
When you was a child, did you realize why she was doing this, or did it take years later
Yeah.
for you to look back?
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, I've always known that, people felt a certain way about my disability. And the thing about it with foster care and that system is so broken.
Man, I
It is
swear, if I
so
had a
broken.
penny for every time somebody say that, I'll be rich.
It is so broken, especially for people of color
Mhm.
and children with disabilities. It is so broken. And I'm going to tell you why.
Mm,
Because they have it where if a child comes into the system and has what's considered a documented disability, then whoever does foster care for them can get more money. They get
mm,
more than what they would for an average child. So you have these families out here that's taking in these foster children that have disabilities just to recoup the money.
mm.
Yep, just to recoup the money.
That is heartbreaking.
It is. And they're not, and then it's not like they take the money and use the money on the child. They
Of
use
course
the
not.
money, no, they use the money for themselves. They use the money to pay their mortgage. They use the money to pay their bills. They don't use the money on the child. And then they
Be,
send the child to school looking crazy.
being that you was placed almost 7 times, did you have at least one good experience?
Yes, I did.
Mm,
And oddly enough, I was sent to a respiratory care. Now, what respiratory care is, it's like, okay, let's say They're at a foster home, okay?
Right.
And this particular foster home or foster family or what have you, they're going out of town. They're going on vacation. And they don't want to take you. But they're well in their right to not take you.
Then
You
you
will
don't need to
go,
have no kids.
well, yeah, that's what I say too, but they would send you to what's called a respite care. And what respite care is another foster home that would keep you while they were on vacation. So
Mm,
I did. I went to this respite care home, and there was 7 girls there. And out of the 7, me, my sister, and one other girl were the only Black girls there.
mm,
The rest of them were white. The foster parents were 2 elderly white people. And they welcomed us into their home like it wasn't nothing. And I
mm.
remember the day I left, I cried because I didn't want to leave. I mean, I think there was a part of me that was searching for that, a longing for that family, that
Yeah.
feeling of family. And I felt it there. And I had to leave because it wasn't a permanent situation.
Wow. So how did your experiences in foster care influence your views on family and relationships?
Um, that's a good question. My experience in foster care was very, very, in the beginning, it was very taunting because it was a lot I had to process. I had to process why a lot of this stuff was happening or why it was going on and why it was happening this way.
Right.
And so once I processed it, I had to say, okay, this is what I don't want to do. This is how I don't want to live. This is how I don't want to be treated. This is how I don't want, what I'm saying, people to treat me. So it showed me what I didn't want. It
Mm,
showed me what I didn't want in a relationship. It showed me what I didn't want in a marriage. It showed me what I didn't want, how I didn't want to treat my children.
mm-hmm,
So that's what I've learned, what I didn't want. I learned all the things I didn't want.
mm. And what is your
So,
relationship like with your mom now?
it's funny you say that. My mom will be 70 years old Saturday, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. What a
Saturday.
blessing.
Yeah, she'll be 70 years old Saturday. Um, my mother is quite the character, to say the least. Um, she's one of those people that she could be the sweetest person in the world, but then you flip that switch,
Mm,
she could be the most cunning person in the world. I have seen this woman con the best of the best. I have seen this woman run game on everybody. Um, I still talk to her. I still, conversate with her and so on, check on her, see how she's doing. I can't say that we have a mother daughter relationship. I can't say that. Um, we've been through a lot together, but and she's always going to be my mother. I'm always going to love her. And we're always going to have that piece of time that we went through so much
yeah.
together, going from shelter to shelter, going from hospital to hospital, being in the hospital, being sick, and her being there with me. And then when she had her drug addiction, getting put out and walking the streets and just all of that. We have all of that together.
Right.
But it hasn't, I will say this. I remember when I first got back in contact with her because when I got adopted, I had lost contact with her.
How long was that? Like, what was the time frame?
Well, I want to say 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10 years. So when I got in contact with her again, I was married. When I got in contact with her the first time, I was married and I had my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so many questions like, why? Why weren't we good enough for you to stop using drugs? Why
Mm,
couldn't you just get it together long enough to get us and then just stop using drugs? I had so many questions. And I was so angry and hurt and bitter.
Mm.
And I ain't gonna lie. My goal at that point in time was to hurt her the way she hurt me.
Right.
And we would get into some argument, and I would come to the jugular because I wanted her to feel what I felt. On those nights, I just wanted her to crawl in the bed and hold me. She was nowhere to be found. I just wanted her to feel like of what I was feeling.
Right.
And then one day, I remember praying, and God said to me, just as clear as I'm talking to you can't go nowhere with unforgiveness in your heart.
Man, that's a fact.
I was like, well, you can't go nowhere with unforgiveness in your heart. He said, well, let me say it like this. You can't go where I'm trying to take you with unforgiveness in your heart.
That's a fact. You
I
gotta let that go, baby.
Yeah, I was like, but did you see? And God was like, I saw. You don't think I saw, but I saw. And I was like, he was like, look, you either gonna love her the way she is or leave her where she is. And if you can't forgive her, then you need to leave her right where she at.
Right.
But if you're gonna love her, then you're gonna love her faults and all.
Yeah.
And I had to make up in my mind that I was gonna forgive her and I was gonna love her for who and what she was. And it was when I said that was the hardest thing I had to do, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But I had to do it. I had to do it for myself. And when I tell people my story, they're like, I don't see how you could possibly do that. I don't see how you could do that. I'm like, but I had to. Because number one, I ain't got a heaven or hell to put nobody in. I ain't nobody judge, jury, or executioner.
Right.
I can't. Who am I to judge somebody? I wouldn't want nobody judging me for the mistakes I've made.
Right.
So therefore, I can't judge her for the mistakes she made.
Right.
But then I remember we had a conversation once. And she was telling me, she was like, look, I didn't have anybody. She said, I didn't have anybody to show me how to do this. She said, my mother died, my grandmother died. I was the oldest in the family. I didn't have anybody to show me what I was supposed to do as a parent. Not making no excuses, but that's just how it was.
Yeah, doing the best she had, but doing the best she had.
So I had to pull up my bootstraps and do it how I thought I was supposed to do it. She was like, and then you were born and you had all these medical problems and all of this stuff going on. Shit, and I was doing it by myself.
How was she able to pay for everything?
Well, I had medical assistance. I had medical assistance through the state.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and she was like, I was doing it by myself, taking you to the hospital, taking you to
that's a lot.
She was like, yeah, it was a lot. And I was doing it by myself. Nobody was going to those hospitals with me. Nobody was going to medical appointments with me. I was doing it all by myself. She's like, and I'm not saying this to make an excuse as to why I use drugs. She was like, but you got to understand what I was dealing with at the time. So when she gave me some background on her background, it helped me to understand her better. Yeah. It helped me to understand the situation better. And I tell people now all the time, people can only give you what they got.
Listen, you got to meet people where they at sometimes.
Right. And if they don't got it, they don't got it.
They ain't got it.
Right. You cannot ask somebody to make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when all they got is jelly.
Yep. That's a fact.
So, right. So you have to meet people where they are. And she was working what she had.
Yeah.
Could she have done better? She probably could have. But at the end of the day, she was just working with what she had.
Yeah. How was your self-esteem and the way others perceive you affected you? Because you spoke about earlier how it really festered in your relationship. So what did that look like, especially the relationship with yourself?
My self-esteem has gotten a whole lot better. than it was when I was younger. It was hard when I was younger because I would always think that one day I was going to wake up and look like everybody else. And one day somebody told me, it was like, hey, guess what? Newsflash, you're never going to wake up and look like everybody
Right.
else. Like you're always going to wake up looking like you. I'm like, what that mean? They were like, what you look like is what you look like. And back when I was coming up, I was coming up during the era of Brandy and Monica,
Monica, yeah.
Leah,
Me
and
too.
everybody wanted to look like them. And I right along with them. I wanted to look like them too. And I had somebody tell me that. They was like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're never going to wake up looking like Aaliyah. You're never going to wake up looking like Brandy. You're never going to wake up looking like Monica. You're always going to wake up looking like... I was like, well, that sucks.
No, it
That
don't. But I get what you're saying.
I was like, that sucks, but okay. But I've learned to, like I said, I've learned to embrace this is me. And you want to hear something really, really crazy? This is like the second time I'm doing interviews with no glasses on. Because you would
Yes.
never catch, girl, you would never catch me without my glasses on.
So why you
But,
take your glasses off?
well, I'm going blind. So by going blind, there's no glasses that work. Yeah. So
Are you going blind because of the syndrome, or are you just going blind?
Yep. The syndrome, they always told me that I had the potential to go blind. I had the potential to go blind, and I had the potential to go deaf.
So are there any other potential risks as you get older?
No, the blindness and the deafness, I think it's enough. I think those two are enough.
Yeah.
But outside of those two, no, there aren't none. There are no other ones. Like I said, because I have type 3, I always had that potential to have a blood clot on the brain and could rupture my brain. I always have to be careful with my head because if I hit my head the wrong way, I could die. So, that potential is always there.
Now, were there any complications with your pregnancy? Or were you nervous or anything?
No, I wasn't nervous. I was big as a house, but I wasn't nervous. I had preeclampsia, and I was because I'm a very small framed person. I couldn't. It hurt to carry the baby because I was a very small framed person, and it was just like a lot of weight.
Yeah,
a lot of weight. I think I weighed 160.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 160.
That's a lot for you because I've seen pictures of you and you are small frame.
I weighed 163 pounds. And I was just like, but see, a lot of that was I was being greedy.
Your ass was eating.
Right. I probably look. My ass was going to the Chinese joint. It was so funny. I would go every day. It was so bad. They knew who I was. I would call it with the same thing. Chicken wings and French fries every day.
You just get a try.
And they came, yep. And they came
hot sauce.
yep. And they came to the door and they was like, no baby yet. No baby yet. I said, no baby yet. No baby yet. No baby yet.
Now, one of the things I liked about your story is you talked about marriage. So, what were your thoughts and feelings leading up to your marriage? And did you have any doubts or reservations at the time?
Well, I want to get married.
You want to get married?
No.
Why not?
I was sick of screaming going on a damn altar.
Really?
He wanted this lavish, extravagant wedding. I didn't want none of that.
You wanted something a little bit more simple?
No, I didn't want to get married. Look, I'm trying to tell you, I did not want to get married.
So why did you get married?
Well, you know how old people are. Well, you're pregnant. You're not as well. And then I don't want to be nobody's baby daddy.
Right.
And, Yeah, I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to marry you. I'm sorry, I don't. But
Really?
yeah, but the thing about it was, I wish I was a lot stronger during that time because I would have really put my foot down and said, no, I wouldn't have done it. But
Mm.
I allowed outside forces to talk me into it. And yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is the person I ended up marrying, and he's not a bad person, not a bad person at all. It's just we didn't. I didn't love him the way I should have loved him. I
So
didn't
at what
love.
point did you realize you didn't love him?
Girl, I always knew that.
Even to this day?
Even to this day, girl, look, it
No,
was
I'm not
look.
doing this with you.
I'm lying, and I'm not.
Because you
I'm
still
so
married.
huh?
You still married, right?
Different person though.
Oh, so this is your second marriage?
Uh huh.
Child, and they got the audacity to ask you, do that thing work?
Look, I go back there and get my husband. He tell you what it works.
Baby, you better
But
you better
yeah,
tell her.
but the first one I didn't.
Wait, so how
And
long were y'all married for the first one?
15 years.
Wow. So did you ever tell him, or like what was the realization that you knew this wasn't the one?
Um, I think my daughter was about 5 when it really hit home. Yeah, this
Mm.
ain't gonna work. This not gonna work. Because in the beginning, I mean, I liked him. I thought he was a nice guy, but I just was not in love with him. So I said, okay. I said, well, as time goes on, it'll grow. It'll grow.
And it never
But
grew in 15
it,
years.
it never grew, girl. It never grew. It grew the opposite direction. It grew the opposite direction.
Really?
Yes. We were just two people that just should not have gotten married. Like, and to this day, we don't have any ill will towards each other. We don't have, I mean, we don't have no bad blood or nothing. We were just two people that should not have gotten married. Now, I will say we both had some infidelities on our part, but that was because we shouldn't have got married.
You was cheating on
His ass cheated for 12 years.
him?
Yeah,
Nah.
girl. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl.
Oh,
Had the
wow.
girl all up in my damn house. Yes, girl. Yes,
Did
yes,
you fight
yes.
her?
No. Look, see, God works in mysterious ways
Mm.
because I didn't find out until after we were already divorced, till I was remarried when I found out. So the girl had inboxed me and told me who she was, told me she had been all up in my house,
Oh, you know
had
these
someone.
hoes, they bold, baby.
No, girl, you got to, but see, this is the thing. That wasn't the first one. I had
What?
several, several during the course of the time that we were married that would inbox me and tell me, could you get your husband out my inbox, please? Your husband has
Wow.
been soliciting me for sex.
He was trying to
Yes.
pay for sex?
Yes, girl. Yes, girl. Yes, girl. I'm like, and I would go to him and I would tell him, I was like, you know what? You're not very good at this. You're not
Yeah, because
very
he's
good at this.
sloppy.
I said, because if you're going to cheat, the key is not to let the other person know the cheating.
Yeah, like don't be sloppy, nigga. Like have some respect.
Yeah, oh man, he was, I mean, he would cheat with people in our area where we live. He started messing with friends of mine. He was just, yeah,
What?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So how long have you been married to this husband? The current husband?
The current one, 4 years.
Wow. And you in
Yeah.
love?
Yeah, that's my baby.
Oh, look out. She's smiling, baby. She blushing. That's daddy right there.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Oh man, this has been amazing. I really enjoy speaking with you. We just have a few more questions and then we'll be it because I know you are ready to get back to your husband, child.
Yeah. You probably sleeping on him.
Now, what role, if any, did faith play in your healing and growth?
Girl, faith was my role in healing and growth. If I didn't have it, baby, I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you today. If I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that strong faith in God, I've always had a connection to God unlike any other. I can
Mm,
remember being 5, 6, 7 years old, sitting behind my mom's couch talking to God. The same way I'm sitting here talking to you. Just
yeah.
talk. I'd be in the bathtub talking to God. And I remember going through some moments in my life where I'm like, and they say you're not supposed to question God, but hell, I question. I want to know. I was going through a surgery. I think I was about 11 years old. And I
Mm,
and I remember crying out to God, like, God, I can't do this no more. My body can't take this no more. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, hold on, I got you.
mm.
And to have that, that's all I had. Through all my years in foster care, that's all I had was his promise that he got me.
Mm.
And that's what, and to this day, no matter what's going on around me, no matter what's happening in my life, that is what I hold on to. He got me.
Yeah, facts. And with everything that you've been through in your life, how has this shaped your outlook on life?
Um, I mean, I have a very positive, and it's crazy because people wouldn't think I'd be as positive as I am. But I have a very positive outlook on life.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen. They are what they are. You deal with it and you keep it pushing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they happen. Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is.
It is what it is.
It is.
Yeah. And if you can go back and speak to your younger self, what advice would you give her?
Keep your head up. You're stronger than you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And last but not least, what advice would you give to others who are dealing with similar challenges?
They'll pass. You'll
Mm-hmm.
get through it. It may not feel like it right now. You might feel like you're in the height of your life right now. You might feel like all hell is breaking down around you. You might feel like every door is closing, slamming in your face. And it might be. But it doesn't mean it's going to be like that tomorrow. That's
Right.
how it is right now. But if you get on the other side of right now, you don't know what's waiting for you.
Okay.
If you
Come on
don't,
now.
you don't know what's waiting for you on the other side of right now. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's waiting for you on the other side of today. So yes, as we're so accustomed to living in our right now that we don't think about it could be better in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fact. Well, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed our conversation. I think this was amazing.
I had fun too.
Yeah. Come on now. That don't even sound convincing.
It did that what it
Give
sounded
me a little
convincing to me.
enthusiasm. But no, to the listeners, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please make sure to email me at hello@thephdpodcast.com. Like I always say, it is important for us to share our storylines because you never know how it can be someone else's lifeline. And to my guests, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a great 𝐾𝐾. Maybe you can teach me a couple of things. I can get my first husband, baby. One that I love. But I but I appreciate you and I definitely look forward to, keeping in contact with you.
Yes, yes, we must.
Yes. And until next time, everyone, later.
Bye.